How are we doing, my kitchen peeps? It's Maggie here. We're back for another recipe, good Lord. So today we're gonna do a spicy rigatoni. It's really easy and super tasty. So we've got some fresh broccoli. Yes, I'm doing my Michael Jackson impersonation again. Some organic tomato sauce, it's thawed out, I don't wanna drip it everywhere, my happy ground pork, our own homemade spicy sausage blend. We'll talk about that in a minute. One of our little packets of bell pepper, our trilogy, and some penne pasta. Yeah, I said spicy rigatoni. I don't have any rigatoni, so I'm using penne. It'll work. Not to offend any true Italians out there, but I kind of just use my pasta interchangeably. So let's get started. This is a quickie, one that you can do really easily, comes together very fast. So it's a great one to do, after work or when you're short on time, which seems to be my life. So anyway, the first thing we want to do, you can use a spicy sausage, you can use an Italian sausage. I prefer to do a little bit of a spicy sausage, which I know that for anybody that knows me, it's just really weird. I've always been as anti-spice as you can get. But for some reason in the last, 6 months or so, I've gotten to where I like it. It's very weird, I know. But I don't ever buy spiced ground sausages. I always make my own. So I just buy ground pork, just plain, oh, my kid's in the back, just plain ground pork, and then add my own seasoning blends to them. 1, it's not as expensive. 2, I can put together the seasonings the way I want them. 3, I know exactly what's in there. And it's just a lot more versatile. You have one pile of a type of meat, i.e. ground pork, and then you could also, it's like, hey, I want to throw it in some ground chicken. I want to throw it in some ground beef. I want to throw it in whatever. You can do that. So what you want to do, typically it's going to be 2 tablespoons of seasoning mix for a pound of meat, based on how spicy you want it. If you don't want it real spicy, and I'll do a video on this blend so y'all can make this one, but they're all over the internet. Just look up spicy sausage seasoning and pick one and try it. See if you like it. If you don't like it real spicy, then just do 1 tablespoon. And if you want to use Italian sausage, then do the same thing. Make an Italian sausage seasoning blend in 1 or 2 tablespoons. Just do it the way you want to. It's your kitchen. So what I'm doing, and I'll turn this down, hopefully, and not let the phone fall. There we go. So being the lazy bum that I am, I don't want to have to wash another dish. So I'm just mixing my meat with the seasoning in the dadgum skillet I'm gonna cook it in, and it'll be fine. And I will tell you, one thing I typically do is mix my ground pork and my seasoning the day before and let it sit. The longer it sits, the more the flavors come together, just the better it is. This is perfectly fine, so don't freak out if you didn't do it. It's just a good habit to get into. And it's one of those prep ahead things you can do. You're sitting down, making out your menu, decide you want to make this or some other kind of flavored sausage dish. Thaw your meat out, mix your seasoning, throw it back in the fridge with a label on it, and you are ready to rock. So that's what we're going to do there. Then we're going to brown this with a 1/2 cup of trilogy and a 1/2 cup of red bell pepper, which, our little packets are 1/2 cup, so ta-da, that works out perfectly. The other thing we're going to do real quick is, sausage sauce stuck to my glove. This recipe, which I haven't fixed in a very long time, although it's really good, it's another one of those, hey, let's mess around with this one. Get my seasoning out of the way. We'll set this off to the side and let it just kind of sit for a minute. The recipe calls for 4 cups of chopped broccoli. Well, you know how I feel about that. I prefer weight measurements. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these up, and I'll show you real quick the way I do it. And again, do what you wanna do in your own kitchen, but I waste not, want not. So that goes in my compost, or I may put it in my veggie bag in the freezer, and then I'll pull my little stems off. I don't want, or stems, leaves. I don't waste those either. I use them. I use everything. So, I'll go right down that stalk It tastes just like broccoli, so I leave it in. If you prefer to keep just the little heads, then do that. It's fine. Just don't throw this in the trash. It's amazing flavor. Or it can go into your compost and just build your garden, build your dirt up real good. So I'm just gonna go through here. I've got about 3 of these big stalks like this out and cut all these up like this. That one's a little thick. And then measure them and weigh them so that I can mark my recipe once and for all. How much, see, that's probably a little over a cup right there. So I've probably got about 4 cups here. But anyway, I want to weigh it because I want to know exactly what I have. So every time I fix it in the future, it's just better to me. It's just more precise. Can you see that? Can you see that? It's kind of a little funky cut up spot, so I'm going to toss that. That can go compost. That'll go over here. The rest of this is looking pretty good. So I'll pause so y'all don't have to watch this because I know it's not super exciting. And then we will weigh, measure and weigh, and then we'll be ready to get started with the actual cooking. And this comes together so quick. So hang on just a bit. I'll tell you what, real quick, I'm going to show you this. Change my what I was doing. The excuse me, the recipe calls for 8 ounces of rigatoni. Like I said, I'm using penne, which is all fine and good. Let me tear my, got my little bowl here. So I have a 12-ounce package. So I'm going to very noisily, sorry, weigh out my 8 ounces because I want to go ahead and get this started cooking. Because the one thing, whoops, that's a little much. There we go, 8.01, boom. You cook the pasta, and in the last 4 minutes, you add the broccoli so that it just gets kind of steam crisp, but it doesn't get too soft. So I want my pasta water to start boiling, and I wanted to have this ready to go while I was cutting up my broccoli. So that's why I kind of switched gears for just a second. Hang tight, I'm gonna keep doing broccoli, and I'll be back. Okay, I finished cutting up my broccoli. Each cup was about 3 1/4 ounces. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I'm using a lot of the stem because I don't waste anything and I like the crunchy texture and it tastes just like broccoli, so why not? If you're doing only florets, they are a whole lot lighter than those. And these will go in a cup a whole lot more densely than these. So you just got to kind of keep that in mind, but golly, remember, it is your kitchen. Do it how you want. We like broccoli, so if there's extra broccoli, it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. And that's all I've got left out of those 3 big stalks. You know, the tips and the little mango piece I cut off and a few little slivers. So I'm going to just put all that in my, actually, I'm going to put the pieces I cut in my veggie bag in the freezer, and these I'm just going to throw in compost. So anyway, all right, we are going to move around. I'm going to get everything switched around to the stove so we can start browning our sausage with our aromatics, get our water boiling, and you'll see how quick this works out. Okay, that picture may be a little cockeyed, just, anyway, it doesn't matter. My phone's a little crooked, life goes on, you know. Y'all will still get the gist. So, just turned my water on, said I was gonna do it a minute ago, changed my mind, doing a lot of that these days. And I'm gonna turn my sausage on because I wanna get it going to get browned. The pasta cooks for 12 minutes and it's gonna take a few minutes, obviously, for the water to come to a boil. The sausage, you need to brown it with the aromatics, then add the tomato sauce. And the recipe says heavy cream. You could use almond milk. I would probably use coconut milk, but I'm actually going to use some whole milk that we have because it's really super thick and creamy, and I think it'll be awesome. So, you know, substitute, do kind of whatever you like, and you know, go for it. I wouldn't use a hemp milk probably because it's got a pretty nutty flavor, and in something like this it might make it a little ick. But anywho, all right, so we got our sausage, spicy sausage started. Throw my little packet of partially thawed. See how quick and easy that is? Spend a little time prepping this stuff and you can throw it together quick. And wow, do I need to make some trilogy. Okay, we need a 1/2 cup. So there's 1/4. And There's a quarter. So, half cup of trilogy. We will get this browning and get our water boiling. Add our pasta. Like I said, it takes 8 minutes. I'll set a time, I'm sorry, 12 minutes. I'll set a timer for 8. When it goes off, we're gonna add the broccoli. 4 more minutes, then we'll drain it. By then, the meat and the sauce should be done, and it all comes together. And it's so stinking good. Creamy, kind of tomatoey, a little bit spicy with your broccoli. I mean, it's a one dish meal that, you know, you got all the food groups covered right here. If you wanted to put a salad with it or any other vegetable on the side, it would be really, really good. I think we're gonna do just a big old bowl of rigatoni this evening, or penne, sorry, my faux rigatoni. We're just gonna go that route. All right, I'm gonna pause so y'all don't watch this because it's not exciting and don't listen to me babble, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, so water's not boiling yet, but that'll be fine. The sausage, I'm gonna turn my stove down just a tad. The sausage is not quite done, but that's okay because we're gonna keep cooking it with the sauce, so it'll finish out its cooking and it'll be perfectly fine. I mean, it's super close. So at this point, we are going to add our, if I can get it open, our 15 ounces of tomato sauce. Let me get my little, I started to say, y'all are gonna love this, but I'm thinking y'all ain't gonna have it. At least not until you get in your kitchen and make it yourself. And then you're gonna love it because it's amazing. And if you like pasta, this is a great dish to throw together quickly. And then here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm sure you can't see that in the video, but there is, this is the milk I was talking about. Look at that. There's, oh, look at that little blob of cream. Look at that. That is called whole milk, baby. It is minimally pasteurized, and if I could get raw, I'd have it in a heartbeat. But this is the milk that I've got. Can you see that? Kelowna. Super natural. It's Amish and Mennonite farmers, and it is so good. Sometimes there'll be a little blob of cream on the top. You can't hardly even shake it up. So we're going to pour this in here. So if I'd had a heavy cream, I'd have used it. Since I didn't, I'm gonna go with the next best thing I've got. So my sauce may be just a tiny bit runnier, but whatever, it's gonna be fine. And I can always just let it continue to kind of cook down and evaporate out a little bit to thicken it up. Or what I'm probably gonna do, because I'm feeling really froggy, is throw a little Parmesan cheese in here. Ooh, I got some raw aged Parmesan. We are close right there. But now you just let this simmer about 10 minutes. And like I said, pasta goes in 8 minutes, add the broccoli 4 minutes, drain it, toss it all together, supper's ready. And it's the bomb. So we will let this simmer. I'll get this, or wait till this is ready, and then we'll come back when it's ready to kind of come together. Okay, my sauce is just perking along. It smells divine. It looks amazing. Turn it down just a tad. It may be a little bit thinner than I'd like, but just barely. The pasta has gone for its 8 minutes, so I'm going to add my broccoli. Ooh, it's going to take up the whole pot. This nasty old plastic bowl I've had for 100 years. Okay, just kind of toss that around a little bit. Pop the lid on it, give it 4 minutes. It'll just be soft, a little bit crispy, the broccoli will. The pasta will be done. Then we will drain the pasta and toss it in with the sauce. And then, like I said, I'm gonna put a little Parmesan on top just because it sounds good. But that is all there is to it, y'all. And it is some yummy dadgum stuff. So I mean, just think about it. If you had your sausage mixed up, you could even put your trilogy and your bell pepper in it, stick it in the fridge, label it. That's that. Dumping out a can of tomato sauce and a half a cup of your dairy of choice is no biggie. Have your pasta ready to go. Have your broccoli cut up, weighed out in the fridge. I mean, then it's just a matter of boil, cook, put it together, and pig out. You cannot get any easier than that. So hang tight. We'll be back in about 4 minutes and bring it all together. Okay, the pasta is done. The broccoli is beautiful green, and it's just a tiny bit crisp tender. Our sauce has cooked down just right, and this has been like 12 minutes. So I'm gonna, I know I keep pause stop, it's the same thing. How about pause start? Drain this, and then we'll mix it all together, and I'm gonna run outside really quickly and grab some fresh basil out of my garden. Oh, I can't wait, and put that in there too. So I'll be back. Okay, here we go. I went and pulled some of the tops off my little basil plant. So I'm just gonna pick some of the stems off. And then if you've never fooled with fresh basil, it's super simple. I just do it in little tiny thin ribbons. If you have really big leaves, which I have a couple, but most of mine are pretty small, you can roll them up and then slice them. I'll show you. This one's really not as big. God, they're so crisp and so wonderful. You can do it that way, and then they come out in ribbons. So same difference, just depends on how big your leaves are. And remember, fresh are not as potent as dried, so you use more when you have fresh leaves than when you have dry. So I'll finish cutting this up, and we'll get our stuff all tossed together, throw some in a bowl, and you can see the finished product, and then we're going to have an amazing dinner. So hang loose for one more pause, and then we'll come back to the finished product. Okay, here we go. Y'all, this smells amazing. So we got the pasta and the broccoli in here. I almost had a pot that's too small, but it's working. Just got to be careful. And one thing I'll tell you, when you're stirring stuff, kind of fold it as opposed to stir it. I mean, you're not trying to beat it to death. You're just trying to get the ingredients mixed together. So if you just are a little bit more gentle, it'll help keep your foods together, and, you know, not break up your vegetables and break up your pasta, and just have a nicer appearance. And I'm not usually Miss Fancy Pants about how my food looks, but also if I'm intending to serve, you know, a steamed veggie, I don't want it to be mush. Goodness gracious, y'all, look at this. Okay, so I'm gonna plate one of these puppies up and let you see the finished product. So we'll do a little of that. Oh, and I had thrown most of the basil, and you can see some of the strips in the meat. And then we'll get our Parmesan. Oh, it's Rumiano, organic. It is the bomb. And if you're dairy-free, you can use the dairy-free stuff, and that is great. I did it for years. I had a lot of problems with dairy for quite a while, but I have found now that I have worked and healed my gut, that as long as I don't get too wild and crazy with it, which I have to be careful, that I can handle a little bit of it. And so I buy very high quality and don't overdo it. And we'll get fancy pants, put us a little more basil on top. Look at that. Boom. Spicy rigatoni. Y'all need to give that a shot. It's amazing. So we're fixing to eat supper outside because it's a beautiful evening. And y'all give it a shot. Let me know. Give it comments. You know, like and subscribe and share and comment and all that stuff. So y'all have a fabulous weekend. Yes, it's Saturday. And I'll see you in the next video.